Good day to you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel for another Marvel Contest of Champions news for the 15th of October 2018. I'm going to a fancy dress party in about a week's time. Who do you think I'm going as? That's right, the bearded lady from The Greatest Showman. Which, funny enough, has got Hugh Jackman in. Hintity hint hint. Just run the goddamn VT. Just roll it. Roll it. Now, yes, starts another week in Marvel Contest of Champions. There are some news things, but there's not as many as, well, we usually get. And I don't know what this is, whether or not Kabam are actually doing something right, or that people are just kind of like very chilled at the moment in the game. Either way, let's scrape through the little stories that we have in Marvel Contest of Champions news. Our first story sees us cover some Marvel Contest of Champions related vlogs. So from the New York Comic Con, lots of decent videos arrived, and I really rate Captain Bayyee's videos. I thought they were brilliant. The vlogs, amazing. You should go and give them a watch. Give them a subscribe because it is great content and great material. I really enjoyed them and I think you will too. Our next story sees us talk about Occult Labs. So as you know, these are currently in game at the moment, and I started off really well with liking them and thinking, oh yeah, no, these are quite cool. I'm glad to have these back. Essentially they're like MCOC Labs but on the cheap. And when I mean on the cheap, I mean that you don't actually get the shards like straight off the bat. You have to get the crystals in order to get them. Sometimes people have felt that they've been very unlucky with certain things not pinging up. But at the same time, they feel they're incredibly unlucky when it comes to re-rolling those particular buffs. That can prove to be, just completely killer. And these are some of the examples, and this particular thread shows a great example of people just getting trolled by Occult Labs. I don't know how you're currently experiencing this. Like I said, on myself, I've not done anything at the moment with it. I think I've been doing a little bit more arena than I would be doing Occult Labs. I've just been going like, even though it's free, I'm just like, meh, can't be really bothered with it. I'll just focus on something else. But also, Occult Labs has not been absolutely categorically 100% working as intended. There have been little issues here and there, especially when it comes to certain aspects of the re-rolling. This particular video in this kind of like section of going out and coming back in shows that to be true, where the re-roll kind of reverts back to the first set of buffs, and any item that was then used to then re-roll is wasted, which, you know, is so disappointing when things don't work cleanly. Kabam have had a good kind of run at the moment. I'd say a good 20 days of things working fine, and it's safe to say that we don't seem to have quite so much of the loss of connection or login issues that was so prevalent in the last couple of months. So for once, that's commendable, Kabam. It's nice to be able to log into the game and have it running fine with no connection issues. It's just all the other piddly crap that needs to be sorted out. Next up, I want to talk about this MSID issue. As you well know, this has happened from time to time. A lot of players are experiencing this issue more commonly than others. I myself found this as an issue probably about 2 to 3 days ago, and it was annoying to see it ping up. And I had installed the game. I had the most point of update that was the last update, and also I'd even reinstalled the game and it still appeared. Now Kabam have since closed this thread, and I don't know whether or not that's to say, hey, as of the 12th of October when the response comes in, that they have dealt with it. Personally, I think that it's still about in some sort of format, and whether or not we have to wait until next update in order for this to be cleared is yet to be seen. Unfortunately, with this post being closed, there's not much more communication we can have with Kabam on the subject. If you do have a problem, this still is prevalent, and at the same time you have reinstalled and it's still there, raise a ticket and also raise a forum post on the subject, because I can imagine you're not alone. Next up, and let's talk about the naughty symbiote. So shout out to AntGeo1 for sending this through to me, and if you remember at the start of this event going in, I referenced the symbiotes being like Tamagotchis, in that, you know, the digital pets you've got to keep well, you've got to clean off their poop and stuff, and look after them, yeah, whatever. You all get the gist of it. But this little forum post is a little bit of a delight to see. And there's so many good little kind of like bits of banter between people, and they're just having a bit of a laugh, and I love this. This is totally up my street. And if you've got a funny story for your symbiote, then put it over in the forum. The link is in the description below. And in the comment section, what have you named your symbiote? What have you named him? I think I called mine Brian. And before anybody asks, people did ask that. Oh, you have an obsession with Brian Grant. That's you called him that. No, my granddad was Brian. And also, I would have liked that name for Frank. Maybe I should have called it Frank. Frank doesn't do much. The symbiote does a lot. Frank doesn't do a thing. Next up on, will you see Marvel Contest of Champions represented at your local Comic-Con? The answer is an unfortunate no. They see that New York Comic-Con is one of the biggest Comic-Cons in the world. So yeah, it seems like more logical that they would then go to New York Comic-Con to kind of like promote. It's kind of good promotional tools at the same time. So don't expect it to be at your local con. At the same time, any major city and any major capital for that matter in any country, don't expect them to kind of go that. It's not, I don't think, as big as people really kind of think the kind of like company as well as the game is. But at the same time, you know, if they kind of went from place to place to place, it'd be shipping all of this stuff. There's a lot of logistics to it, I think, that it just wouldn't work out. But it would be nice to see. And maybe even they could say that local YouTubers in certain countries could then maybe run some certain things and events like they've done with Brian Grant in Seattle and other stuff as well. You know, there's probably more options in the future, but at the moment it doesn't look likely. Next up, and I've got a very interesting poll that I wanted to put towards you. So I found this in the forum, which was about thoughts on 5-star champions that have 4-star representation but not as 5 stars. So as we know, Electro was entered into as a 5-star, and it looks fairly likely that we'll see Doctor Strange as a 5-star. And he's not the most amazing champion in the world, but he'll do. However, though, this is positive to say that in the future we could see a 5-star Scarlet Witch, a 5-star Black Widow, yada yada yada, etc, etc. But this poll goes a little bit further and asks people's opinions on whether or not they'll be willing to then buy or front about £500 to then get a champion of that magnitude. The results are to be expected, very much so that people would love to see a Scarlet Witch at 5-star, and also Wolverine unfortunately gets the, not people are that interested, but I guess that's where the game has changed with a certain champion like that is only really better as a 4-star, but it would be nice to see a 5-star at a later date. However though, and the most striking point that has been made is the amount of people that do not want the deal, will not be willing to pay the amount. So we kind of hope that if they run something similar to Vision, which undoubtedly they will in the future, probably be a 6-star Vision at some point, that's just how it goes. And God forbid how much that's going to cost. But the main thing to say is that people are willing to spend less on the game, but would be willing to spend. So that's the thing, isn't it? You just wonder like where the headspace is. Like, people want to buy, but also they want to buy at a lower rate. Or there's going to be people that don't want to buy at all. From my perspective, I do put in a little bit of money as of the last couple of weeks to the game, and I probably will do that in the future, but not a huge amount. You have to ask the question, if you spend money, am I getting any value back? And chances are the answer is no, especially if you go for featured Grandmaster crystals, which if you say this is an investment, that if you're only getting 3 stars, then you just say to yourself, well, what is the value for me doing that? Have I got any champions that I could use in different fields with the changes to Alliance Wars? Maybe, I don't know. But you'd look to get the strongest ones, or would want the strongest ones, which are 5 stars. So, difficult situation. Do you want to spend in the game? Do you not want to spend in the game? And at the same time, do you want these kind of champions? If you haven't voted in the poll, please do. Or have a rant in the comment section. Next up, I'm following on from the video shoutouts. We've now got Dork Lessons. 2 brilliant videos. First one is this one here with Gabriel, and also the second one is one with Simon. Both work for Kabam, and both are giving you answers to questions that you might have. Especially the one with Simon, because it does go very in depth with the game. It's stuff that you want to know the answer to. So go and have a look in the link in the description for these 2. But at the same time, I do take issue with Gabriel's point on Mystic Champions. He does agree that Mystic Champions do need better representation in game. But at the same time, he doesn't have an idea of which ones could be put in. And me personally, I could think of loads. I've done probably about 2 videos, and now I'm going to have to do a 3rd one and create it in some kind of saga about the fact that there are loads of Marvel based or Mystic based Marvel champions. For example, Captain Britain could be even considered as a mystic champion. I know some people may say that's a bit weird, but it is, and it could be. So yes, plenty of opportunity, but at the same time, you can't just rely on rehashing something like, well, Symbiote Supreme, which is a Doctor Strange rehash with symbiote power. So yeah, what can you say? And the numbers are in for Symbiote Supreme. So following on from my kind of light bashing, it does seem that this has been represented in people's want for this champion. As you can see, we got a 40 mil for the 5-star version, which is a big drop from a featured champion being put into the game. And as well, the 4-star version going for 13.2. So this is a big decline. But I guess this goes down to popularity of this type of champion. If we said that this was a Marvel original champion, not just a, well, in some ways this is an original, but it's like a rehash of original. So this rebranding, as it were, you know, I don't think people have really kind of gotten into it. I've got my hands on Venom the Duck for review, and I'm feeling a lot more kind of like happy about it. It's like, it's a decent champion, and I will do a full video on it. But at the same time, we're focused on Symbiote Supreme, and unfortunately, I just don't think that it had that level of hype and popularity as well. It's good, but it's not fantastic for me. That's just my own opinion. I'll let you have your own opinion. We've got Hyperion going for 2.7 mil, which is still quite good, quite strong. And if we're going with predictions for round 2, Symbiote Supreme, I would probably say is going to drop to about 35 mil, but people will probably go for about 41 mil to be safe. 13.5 will be safe for Symbiote Supreme, but I do feel that that's going to drop quite significantly based on, again, popularity. But, you know, 13.5, 13.6 to be safe. And then Hyperion going for anything around about 2.5 to about 2.8, maybe push it to about 2.9 to be safe. But that's just my thoughts on the predictions. So that's been your Marvel Contest of Champions news for Monday the 15th of October 2018. Have a lovely week, whatever you're doing. And make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video and want to continue watching more of my content. I appreciate it. Thanks very much for watching. This is RichTheMan signing out.